Okay, here we go. Here we go. Ad rad for the win. And welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today's video will be another video in our series on teams that slap, but we have a special series coming out, kind of a mini series, if you will, within this series of teams that slap. Specifically, we're going to be looking at teams that slap in the new upcoming territory battle. So we're going to have three different videos with this, one of them being light side teams, one of them being dark side teams, and then the final one, the one being mixed teams. As you're all probably aware, the new territory battle that will be coming out has three paths that you can take. One being light side, one being dark side, and the other one being a mixed path. So it's going to be really important that we kind of have an idea going into this TB what teams we're going to want to use. Now, with that being said, a little caveat to this. Some of this is going to be speculative. Obviously, we don't know what the TB is yet. We don't have a lot of details on it yet. But this is going to be a little speculative to help you, A, have an idea of what teams should do well, B, what teams might do well, and C, what teams you're definitely going to need in the future for some serious work. Alright, with that being said, everybody, let's get into it. Alright, first up we have here kind of the standard teams, which are the Galactic Legends. If you have these Galactic Legends, more than likely they're going to do well. You'll notice, though, that the team comps that I have are a little bit different, and you'll understand why here in a second. That's largely because I want to talk about some variations and or some other teams that fit within these factions that have done well in the past, but I think are going to do probably pretty poorly in this new TB. So first and foremost, we have General Kenobi, or I'm sorry, Jedi Master Kenobi, I should say. So one, I would expect that him and kind of his core group of Galactic Republic are probably going to do pretty well in the TB. It's a Galactic Legend. There's no way that they're not going to do halfway decently for you. The core team obviously is Jedi Master Kenobi, Cat Snips. Typically, it will be Padme, and then General Kenobi. Now, I want to touch on, I have General Skywalker in here, and I have Jedi Knight Anakin. I want to touch on a couple of the other popular Galactic Republic teams that have done well in the past, but I think are going to do very, very poorly in this new TB. And that is primarily Padme-led teams and 501st teams. Now, whether those 501st teams are led by Skywalker or by Shaak-Ti, I don't think it's really going to matter. A lot of people have those teams buffed up pretty well, but they already kind of had their day in the sun with the Geonosis territory battle. So don't be surprised if they kind of fall out of relevancy, similar to how the Empire was very, very good in the Dark Side TB, and then when we got to the Dark Side Geonosis TB, they suddenly weren't as good as they used to be. They were still functional at the lower phases, but once we got up into the upper phases, they really weren't very functional at all. And I would expect a very similar thing to happen here with our Galactic Republic characters. They probably will be okay for Phase 1, but as we get up into the upper phases, they're really going to probably struggle significantly. Alright, moving on to our second quote-unquote team here. And that's Jedi teams, basically. Primarily led by Jedi Master Luke. We'll talk about some of the other comps that are out there and whether I think they'll work or not. First and foremost, again, a Galactic Legend team is likely to do pretty well. With that being said, certain variations of this team I think will do better than others. You're probably going to need Jedi Knight Revan, in my opinion, on this team moving forward. Likewise, speaking of Jedi Knight Revan, if you think that you're going to be able to run a Jedi Knight Revan lead team in the light side, keyword light side path, you're probably not going to do so well. Same story kind of goes with Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. Now, he is, I think, going to be more useful than what Jedi Knight Revan is on the light side path, simply because of his leadership. His leadership helps to negate all sorts of speed bonuses that the opposing team will have. So Jedi Knight Luke might have some viability for Jedi in this upcoming TB, but I would really expect, obviously, the number one team is going to be Jedi Master Luke with a varied number of Jedi underneath him that will work pretty well. Similar to what I said before, I would not expect Jedi, similar to the Galactic Republic, to do very well in this TB. If we think about the time frame this TB is covering, primarily it is after the downfall of the Galactic Republic and the downfall of the Jedi. Don't be shocked, folks, if literally these two teams and these two factions are pretty much useless in this new TB. I would think, because there are two Galactic Legends here, that they're going to at least be usable for the first couple of phases of the TB. But don't be shocked at all if we get to like the 5th or 6th phase and suddenly your Galactic Legends aren't cutting it anymore. It's just a way that this TB is designed, the time frame that it's set up in. Chances are they're not going to be as effective as you think they are going to be. So that's kind of what should work really well, but might not going into the future. Now we're going to look at some teams that are probably more likely to be kind of good and still remain good without any massive change. So the first one we have here is Galactic Legend Rey. I would expect her to do well across the board here. She doesn't have a reason to be very bad in this TB. She also hasn't really had her limelight in any other TB at this point in time. So I would expect her kit as well as her faction to work pretty well in this TB. Obviously, if you're running a Galactic Legend Rey team specifically, I would think they're going to do very, very, very well in this TB. So if you don't have them and you are thinking about getting them upgraded, probably a very good decision moving forward, especially with the release of Ben Swallow. Now, we're getting into some non-GL teams that I think could do well and more likely will have more sustainability than what the Galactic Republic and or Jedi teams did, or will, I should say. First and foremost, we've got CLS-led Rebels. So obviously, as we know, folks, the Rebels are not really strong at this time frame, but they are around. They are kind of in the process of getting stronger. Now, these teams, in particular CLS, is not really developed until later in the timeline. So I wouldn't be shocked if they are not as effective as some other Rebel teams, but I would think that they are still going to be pretty good, especially since, you know, Rebels are a key faction during this time frame. Mon Mothma-led Rebels. I would expect a similar thing with them. They're going to probably do quite well. I would argue they might even do better than CLS, simply because of the time period that we're looking at in this TB. We all know that they're a very good team for Geonosis TB with the Terminator train that they get. So if you have this team, I suspect they're going to do very well. Pal, Cara Dune is not from this time frame, but Pal, Biston, Scarif, Rebel Pathfinder, all of those Rebel fighters are pretty much from the Rogue One era, which is going to be kind of within this TB time frame. The only thing that I think that might be questionable in this team is Kyle Katarn. Kyle Katarn is such a key component to this team, but because he is a Jedi, I would not be surprised if his benefits are severely negated, and we might be better off running a more pure Rebel fighter team that does not have any Jedi faction tags. So just a thought moving forward. Now we're getting into some more, what I'll say to be speculative teams moving forward. One, the Mandalorian team here that we have, and I just kind of threw Nest in because Nest is a scoundrel that fits within this time frame, I should say, as well. This is a team I don't anticipate doing very well, but there is a chance that simply because they are not Galactic Republic and they are not Jedi, that they may actually do better than a lot of people think they will. I don't think they're going to get a focus, I'll say that much, simply because they came after the fall of the Empire. So I don't think you're going to see massive rewards or massive benefits with this faction, but it's a team to keep an eye out on. It might be effective. Now, the next team I think absolutely is going to be effective, and I think not only are they going to be effective immediately, but I think they're going to be really, really, really good and get better moving forward, and that is the Prepared team. I have Dash in the lead right now just because Dash is the best leader for this particular faction, but Kira, as we know, is going to get one of those quote-unquote hero roles within this TB. So it wouldn't shock me at all if Dash actually proves to not be the best leader in this situation, and we end up rolling with Kira in the leadership and run a more traditional Prepared team with, you know, young Lando or I'm totally blanking on who our other one is at this point, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I would suspect that we're really going to see this team be very, very effective. I would expect that there's going to be some benefits to the prepared mechanic in this, just simply because they are such an important faction during this time frame of Star Wars. Continuing with that thought, a team that is already gaining a lot of traction in GAC in particular and is very active during this time frame in the TB is the AdRad/Rogue One team. This is a team, folks, if you have not got them up yet and you are thinking about working on Profundity, this is, if anything else, this is a massive reason to put it to the top of your list. One, the ship is amazing. You definitely want to get Profundity as soon as possible. And two, you are likely going to see this team absolutely crush TB Light Side Path in particular. I did put Bodhi Rook in here. I know he's not traditionally a typical person that you would put in this team, but we know that he does have one of those hero roles similar to Kira, and is likely going to see some benefits. It wouldn't surprise me if we see some specific benefits within a particular mission or two that benefit him beyond just what they're putting in the hero role, just to see him really get the boost that he kind of deserves for being, it is as important of a role as he had in Rogue One. Last but not least here, folks, I shouldn't say last but not least, next up, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Next up, Bad Batch. Bad Batch are a very, very good team, and they have a lot of survivability, and again, they were very active during this time period that the TB is taking place. Definitely want to focus on Bad Batch, in my opinion. They're going to be very good moving forward. Most people, if you have Vader, are already going to have these guys all at relic levels, so you're probably going to be in good shape. If you're like me and you haven't worked on Vader yet, might be a good priority along with Profundity, because these are two teams that are going to do very, very well, in my opinion. Now, the next one's a bit questionable. So I have Phoenix Squadron here. Obviously, Phoenix, unlike the other squads, kind of had a time in the sun in the Hoth territory battle. The other teams that we've had here haven't really had a major TB benefit, but they may have been focused on in other arenas, like, Grand Arena, for instance. But this is a team that they really are strong during this time period. We know that the battles are going to happen on Lothal. It would not surprise me at all, folks, if their team synergy ends up doing very, very well in TB. They were very good in the Hoth TB, even though they didn't really take place and weren't that active during the Hoth battle. It wouldn't shock me if we revisit this faction a little bit and see this team get really, really good. Similar idea, if you're working on Profundity and you're trying to bring up your ships to make them stronger, this might be a team worth investing in a little bit. I certainly wouldn't do it right away. I would wait till the TB drops and see how things are going to shape out. But I would certainly have this team in mind as a potential really good team moving forward. Now, the last team we have, this is the actual last team. This is kind of a bonus team. Just so CG likes to pick teams that'll do well for kind of no reason other than nobody has them leveled up. The Jawas, the Jawas, one, are a really fun faction, but two, not many people have them relicked up being the key word here, and the Jawas were actually pretty active during this time frame in Star Wars. So it would not shock me in the slightest, folks, if the Jawas actually are a relatively effective team in TB. If they aren't going to be, I'll actually kind of be a little bit sad. I think it would be a really big missed opportunity for CG to be able to make them be pretty useful in an actual good faction in at least one realm of the game. I would love to see that happen. Let me know, folks, what you think about these teams again. We've got the Jawas, Phoenix, Bad Batch, the Profundity-led Rogue One team, or AdRad-led Rogue One team, the Prepared team, Mando team, Mon Mothma, CLS, and then our three main Lightside GLs. Alright, folks, that'll pretty much wrap us up for today. Let me know in the comments whether you think these teams are going to work really well. Do you think I'm totally off my rocker in thinking some of these teams are going to work really well? Again, like I said, some of this is speculative. Some of it is more based on what does work now and may work in the future. If you liked what you saw today, make sure you guys give me a thumbs up, like down below. If you would like to catch more content that I'm putting out, make sure you guys subscribe and turn on notifications. Last but not least, if you would like to check out any of the other videos and or Discord comments and or GAC live streams, check out our links below in the video description. Lots of cool stuff for you guys to be able to check out down there. All right, everybody. Catch you next time.